Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring DoW2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you as always tonight. And we are once again on Outer Reaches here on the Elite Mod tonight with a great one-on-one game between two of the top players currently duking it out on the Elite Mod scene. And I know I've said it several times, so I won't ramble about it too much, but we do have that Elite Mod one-on-one tournament coming up this weekend. It'll be live casted by myself and a few others over on my stream channel. That's twitch.tv/Red-Rupee. Go check it out, hit that follow button, and you'll be ready to go. Anyways, let's go ahead, take a look at our players tonight. We've got on the blue side, Toilailee as the Imperial Guard Lord General, his signature hero. And then on the opposing side, on the red team, we've got Texcalibur tonight as the Eldar Warp Spider Exarch. And, man, we've seen these guys a lot. I know if you guys are tired of seeing the same guys fight and duke it out all the time, it always helps to submit some replays of your own. And there are plenty of you guys that do submit replays, but I generally get bombarded with 2-on-2 and 3v3 games, which I do very much enjoy. But if you know me by now, you should probably know I love the one-on-one matches, and that's really what I like to see. So one-on-one matches, submit those, and I'm not saying I won't cast 2-on-2 and 3-on-3 games. Obviously I do those also, but you're probably about 3 times more likely to get your game casted if it's a one-on-one game. I'm going to try to do some kind of newbie and mid-level games here and there a little more too. Do some more analysis-based games. I did a little questionnaire on my Facebook page, and generally what I heard so far was that people would like to see some more mid-level stuff. So I'll try to do that. And right out of the gate, before any engagements even really happen, got some interesting choices here. Tex going for Banshees against Toilailee's Imperial Guard, which kind of inherently seems like a bad idea. Toilailee always goes for at least one Sentinel. Sentinel's very difficult to deal with as Eldar if you go for those Banshees. So we're going to have to see how these Sentinels are played, how those stomps go off. Sentinel getting the decap there right in the face of the Warp Spider. He's then getting flanked by the Lord General of Toilailee. Toilailee putting on the pressure nice and quick here. And going for the second Sentinel. This could prove disastrous already, I feel like, for Tex, but it is Tex. We're going to have to assume he knows what he's doing, getting these Banshees, getting that second Dire Avenger squad here early. So we're just going to have to assume he has some kind of plan in mind to deal with this. See, Dire Avengers already upgraded first power source of the game right here. This battle equipment, giving them the, or aspect of Avenger as it's called in the Elite Mod, giving them fleet of foot energy shields, grenades, all that essential gear that you need for those Dire Avengers at this point in the game. Sentinel already getting upgraded with the stomp, getting fixed up right there. Toilailee did a great job so far, though, stalling out with that Lord General. This Sentinel is getting its ground pound ready. Second Sentinel moving in, while both of Toilailee's Guardsman squads moving in on the power over here. No doubt see Toilailee drop his signature turret right there. As soon as Tex drops a generator, which he has just done, here comes the turret just as I expected. I'm not even sure what entirely to expect from this game. The replay was uploaded on Game Replays. That's where I found it. And then it had a pretty ridiculous little description. I didn't read the spoiler. Don't know who won. And then I loaded the game up here in the actual replay player right here, and it also had a pretty silly name. So I'm expecting some rather ridiculous shenanigans so far. But right now, Toilailee clearly has an almost undeniable edge in this game. Has his entire army just sitting here on Tex's natural farm. Most of the map is blue. Sentinels moving in to go ahead and finally get that decap right there. 2 squads of Dire Avengers hiding behind a shield. What's about to get stomped over. Sentinel goes and misses the stomp, does break the shield. Sentinel's going to take a lot of damage, but the Guardsmen are going to be there to support. No problem. Here comes a big grenade. Guardsmen do dodge it. That Sentinel's getting awfully low, though. The secondary stomp moves in right here. Tex is just going to ignore it with his Warp Spider. Warp Spider just going to be an evasive little pest running around, decapping. I do generally feel like this is an Eldar favorite map. I know I've said that before, but just the kind of way the retreat lanes work and the way it's so very spread out, you can really take advantage of things with your Banshees. I feel like right now even Tex is planning on forcing these guys to retreat, keeping these Banshees down here in this classic death zone right here, this retreat path right here, ready to cause some harm. Tex still just jumping around on the back line with his Warp Spider, trying to cause as much economy breakdown as he possibly can, but right now he's sitting on 0 power. Does have a node going up right here on this contested power point in the middle. A nice warp out as the Warp Spider zips out from under that foot of the Sentinel, but he's looking pretty low himself. Banshee's still on the retreat path, getting ready to try to hack up some guardsmen if these Dire Avengers can push them off. Guardian Weapons team needs to get put to some use here. Needs to move that up and maybe force a retreat. Banshee's now recognizing that both of the Sentinels aren't in support range of these Guardsmen infantry. Tex doing a solid attempt right here, trying to dissect ToilaiLee's composition, but does get stomped by the second Sentinel anyways. Both Sentinels now on the field trying to support right here. The second one now behind that Shuriken cannon. Banshee's defiantly staying in that melee after getting stomped. With the support of the Shuriken cannon, he figured they could stay out there. There are only 3 models left, but they're still going to do solid damage, and finally getting pushed off there by the Sentinel and the Guardsman. Second Sentinel pushing back Tex's Shuriken cannon, but Tex has managed to get his natural power farm back going. Has his node up, so all he needs to do is drop a couple gens there. And beautiful double grenade right there from Tex, covering either base right there, which way the Guardsman decided to retreat. If ToilaiLee had soft retreated up to the north here, he would have gotten hit by a grenade. If he hit the retreat button as he did, he also lost himself a nice handful of guards. So, nice double grenade. See Lord General here reinforcing under fire from the Warp Spider X-Arc. Both Sentinels again harassing Tex's power farm. Going to be able to tag at least that lone generator right there. And it looks like the Lord General is just going to keep eating shots. Banshee's now moving in, upgraded with their aspect of strength right now, so they will have that heavy melee later on. And Tex really doing a great job so far. A lot of Eldar really can't stand those Sentinels. ToilaiLee's been doing a great job of putting them to use, but keeping them together like this really allows Tex to say, alright, both Sentinels are up there, I can send my Banshees elsewhere. All you have to do is avoid the Sentinels, and the rest of the Imperial Guard makeup just isn't going to be dealing with that too well at all. Warp Spider getting dangerously low right there as ToilaiLee focus fires it down with tons of Imperial Guard flashlights. And now heading into Tier 2. Tex is going to be a good deal behind on that upgrade as well. Especially considering he's getting himself another Guardian Weapons team. I'm not sure that's intentional. Yes, he does cancel it. Banshee's finding themselves in a bit of a predicament right there, having to fall back. These constant stomps from the Sentinels are really shutting them down anytime they show themselves, so long as ToilaiLee is ready with those 2 walkers. Tex starting to drop some warp gates already. Very excellent map for him. Can really take this VP back and forth so long as you keep that gate hidden. And actually, if you play it right, you can actually kind of disguise that you have a gate for a long time too. If you kind of just try to use them sparingly and not just warp your whole army in and out of them, it's pretty difficult for their opponent to tell if he's not keeping track of your squad super tightly. Especially if you only use them for, say, like the Dire Avengers or something you have 2 squads of, so he's not always going to know where both are. But anyways, both Sentinels now moving in once again. Shuriken getting set up in the back for Tex. ToilaiLee still putting the pressure on with his dual Sentinel build. Tex is going to be hitting Tier 2 here shortly. But ToilaiLee is already there, probably going to be bringing some big guns onto the field here before much longer. Guardsmen getting focused down, or Guardsmen rather, focusing down Dire Avengers. Sentinel still holding position. Banshee's coming up from behind. ToilaiLee certainly knows that that warp gate is there now. Banshees stall for just a split second, lose themselves a model and have to fall back. Wouldn't be surprised if they lose another one here shortly. In the meantime, Warp Spider still being the disruptive menace that he always is. Getting some nice special attacks on these guardsmen, finally forcing them off, even upgraded with the Commissar and everything. The Shuriken Cannon holding position there, actually stalling out reasonably well on its own against ToilaiLee's dual Sentinels. ToilaiLee realizes he needs to take out that webway when he gets the opportunity, so he's just going to go do that now while Tex is distracted. Going to try to focus that gate down. Here comes both Guardian squads, however. Gonna start focusing and then charging. Dodges the Sentinel stomp right there with the help of the warp gate. Hops out once again. Does get hit by the second stomp, however. And these guardsmen are going to be taking a face full of fire if they're not careful. And he's just dodging in and out of this warp gate. I'm not sure. I think Toilailee can see it. Yeah, he is attacking it right there, but isn't quite attacking it quick enough. Finally manages to take it out, and the Guardians return once again, this time dropping a pair of grenades right on top of the Guardsman squad. It does connect, turning a few Guardsmen into bits, but the warp gate finally goes down, and these two Sentinels are going to have to get out of there as they are getting focused down. The Shuriken had moved into a position to support, and a pretty hilarious game of cat and mouse right there with that warp gate. Tex not hesitating to pull out every trick in the book he can to help deal with this, and it's bought him enough time to get himself caught up into Tier 2. Toilailee really didn't bring anything big out in Tier 2. Looks like, oh my gosh, he's got tons of power. He's got to be going straight for Tier 3. Curious choice. I feel like maybe some Ogrins or something probably would have helped him in Tier 2 here. He did get himself a squad of Stormtroopers, but I haven't really seen them do much. I see them on the field now, already upgraded with their assault kit, but they're getting forced off as it is. Sentinels looking a bit beat up. Those guardsmen need to get over there and heal it up a bit. 418 to 294. Toilailee does have the map advantage, and that's something to be said in Tier 2 against the Warp Spider. Tex has upgraded to the Enhanced Warp Generator, which will allow the Warp Spider to warp faster and warp further. So you can see Tex is just totally going to be playing this Eldar map control game, dropping that Warp Gate once again. Warp Gate's just so good. I'm so baffled that more Eldar don't use them more consistently. Normally by this point in the game, you'll see an Eldar player just kind of sitting on 300 or 400 red resource. And if they're not calling down an Autarch, if they're not using those passives, not pulling up anything else, like there's no reason not to be dropping those warp gates, continuing the map control. I mean, that allows Tex to really just be all over the map right now, harassing on all these various fronts. ToilaiLee's heading into Tier 3, so he's going to go straight for the Tier 3 tech. He might be losing a Guardsman squad here if he's not careful, though. Looks like they will narrowly escape with just a few models and their Commissar. But one of the Sentinels looking pretty rough. He needs to get away from those Banshees. All that melee is going to start shredding them apart. He's running right into some dire Avengers, though. Looks like he's not going to get out, and the first Sentinel goes down for ToilaiLee. Banshees fall back after recognizing they took out that Sentinel threat. Guardian Weapons team getting pushed back as well, and Dark Reapers on the field. Interesting choice. If I were Tex, I would have probably expected some Ogrins or something along those lines as well. But man, look at those Dark Reapers. Holy heck! Just obliterated that Sentinel in the blink of an eye. An entire squad doing plasma damage, obviously. Wow. Just took out the Sentinel without even a second thought. Warp Spider teleports in, takes on that cloaked Stormtrooper squad. Those Stormtroopers, I think, not going to be nearly as effective with that Warp Spider hanging out. And we've got an anti-grav grenade going down. Actually misses the Lord General. Snags his Commissar, but the Lord General on his own will be enough to melee down those Dark Reapers. Guardsman now moving in to assist, and ToilaiLee going straight for the Leman Russ tank. He did lose both of his Sentinels, which is a huge blow to his army composition. But man, that Leman Russ tank is going to be a real problem for Tex, I feel like, right now. He can certainly upgrade this Guardian Weapons team to a Bright Lance cannon, but I think that on its own is not going to be able to stop the Leman Russ tank with both of ToilaiLee's Guardsmen still on the field, being able to constantly repair that tank. This is not a great map for vehicles, of course, as we've mentioned many times before. But Guardsmen with that Leman Russ tank, just a nasty combination. Tex, a little sloppy there, loses his Warp Spider finally. Might give ToilaiLee a little bit more breathing room here, but Tex putting on some more pressure on the power farms. We'll have to see if this tank is enough to allow ToilaiLee to really keep controlling this game. Autarch's coming down, though, and that's going to be even more map control potential, I feel like. A few more melee counters to ToilaiLee's all-frail ranged army right now. But really, the combination of Autarch and Warp Spider Exarch is just going to give Tex some obscene amounts of map control. He's got the warp gates up. He's now got 2 single unit entities that can just blaze across the map whenever necessary. to really start putting pressure anywhere he so chooses. Toilailee doesn't have anything that can deal with those individually. He's got no real squad independence with his current makeup after losing those 2 Sentinels. He's just got a pile of light infantry. If he doesn't keep these squads lobbed up, he's going to have no chance of dealing with either the Autarch, the Banshees, or the Warp Spider on his own. Of course, Texas Warp Spider is down, and he's a little resource-starved at the moment. Doesn't have too much going for him. Has his Dark Reapers up there, but that is an expensive squad to be tangling with Guardsmen. Really don't want those to be engaging Guardsmen on their own at all. I think Tex was kind of gambling on the fact that some Ogrins or something along those lines were coming out.
Are always ready. We have an edge for now.
I think Toilailee might want to be getting himself maybe a Manticore or something along those lines, or maybe some Tacticians to help just hold a point, because right now he's just got to kind of blob together. Tacticians, of course, an excellent independent squad. Manticore would probably give him the opportunity to really just start bombing points whenever Tex shows up with his Autarch or something like that. At least stall for a little time, because you can see Tex is not even engaging the main forces, just dodging all over the place, trying to cap points. See Autarchs out there, War Spiders out there. Something down here. What do we got? The Cheese down on the far point. ToilaiLee's managed to take out Tex's entire farm once again, though. Just refusing to yield that pressure he's been putting on since the beginning of the game. That double Sentinel build can be just devastating against Eldar. Tex dealt with it pretty well, but here comes a rocket run right on top of Tex's main forces, and it looks like both of those Dire Avenger squads are going to go down. Huge hit to Tex's army right there. ToilaiLee says, "You drop both my Sentinels, I'll drop both your Dire Avengers. No problem, fella." And with the single drop of a global nuke, no problem indeed. Banshees and Autarch now engaging Tacticians. Tacticians coming onto the field, but not leveled or anything. I think they are at least upgraded with one of their leaders right now. But for the time being, those Banshees and Autarch are going to have to get the heck off the map. Meanwhile, the Stormtrooper squad has absconded from Texas side of the map, heading up to the contested VP.
Stormtroopers reporting ready.
And Tex doing everything he can to impugn ToilaiLee's current advantage. He's got the army advantage, he's got the map and VP advantage. But Tex, just with this recalcitrant Warp Spider, just refusing to yield at all. He's going to harass, he's going to cap, he's going to play the Eldar map control game as hard as he possibly can and stall out for time. This is, of course, a map that's as I've mentioned before, notorious for longer games. And really, Tex knows that. Tex is using that Warp Spider to buy all the time in the world. 406 to 223. Layman Russ tank now moving in on the Dark Reapers, just trying to put a little pressure on Tex, keep him off of the map as much as possible. Once again getting flanked, Banshees and Autarch moving in again on these Tactician Devils. I'm not sure if they'll be enough on their own. Lord General with no war gear upgrades, but it looks like he has his entire retinue on the field. He's got his Sarge, he's got his Commissar. He may not have the Vox operator, but still making the Lord General very beefy. He's got over 1,700 health right now. Yeah, it looks like he just has the 2 members right now. Lemon Russ taking quite a few pings from that Bright Lance weapons team right there. Catachin's also going to be invaluable at spotting these webway gates. There's another webway down on the bottom of the map now. Tex not hesitating to just spend all that red wherever he can to keep those warp gates up, keep that map presence solid, even if he doesn't have the army to directly engage. He's really playing the way Eldar needs to. Very much a hit-and-run style play so far. Been hopping in and out of warp gates all over the place, really showcasing how powerful the warp gates can be if you use them to their maximum effect. Wraith Guards are on the field, which will really help Tex deal with pretty much everything that's on the field right now. Everything that ToilaiLee has is going to have a hard time dealing with these Wraith Guards, and with the escort of the Banshees and the Autarch, Tex should be able to keep them firing in range. Ooh, a little bit of friendly fire right there, though. I think he picked off one of his own Banshees. Bit of a heal from the Autarch. Dark Reaper still on the field. ToilaiLee still sitting on Tex's natural power, keeping Tex as starved as he possibly can, but Tex is staying in the game just enough to keep his tier 2 tech coming. He's not going to be going tier 3 anytime soon, but the way he's playing this right now, he may be able to stick this game out in tier 2 if he can manage to take on this Lehman Russ tank. Toilailee getting some Kasserkins now, which I don't think really... Ooh, that was the Stormtrooper squad that just went down. As I was saying, the Kasserkins I don't think really add much to his composition right now. It's just going to be more range damage that can't really deal with the current threats that are on the field. Possibly a bad choice right there, but we'll have to see how this works out. Kasserkins, of course, very powerful range elite tier 3 squad. Gonna be pouring out the ranged hurt. Dark Reapers getting out of there just before losing any models. Surprised, actually, that they didn't lose any. They're so very frail. Catachin Devils trying to buy some time right here. I'm not sure if they didn't have their knockback shot right there. Nice combination using the medkit, using the grenade right there to scare off the Banshees. Actually did some nice damage, took off a couple models as well. This Lehman Russ needs to get healed up for the time being, though. Guardsmen are coming up from the rear to help deal with that. And Tex popped that Warp Spider out once again on the backfield. 187 to 336. He's ever so slowly trying to close that gap, but the VPs are still ticking down against him. So he's going to have to be very careful. Despite being pushed off the map, Tex almost has a 3-0 cap right here. Has the 2-0 for the time being. Kasserkins now moving up to the top of the map. Another Warp Gate going up on the right side of the map. So Tex currently has all 3 corners of the map that don't contain his base covered. He's got the north, south, and east, each equipped with a Warp Gate to just pile out the forces wherever he wants. And look at this, look at the Reapers blasting away at these Guardsmen. You can see before those Wraith Guard started pouring their own AoE blasts in there, that the Dark Reaper plasma damage actually doing next to nothing to the Guardsman squad. So something to keep in mind. Oh no! Oh! Tex jumps out of the web weight, gets a nice assassination on the Kasserkin squad that Toilailee had just purchased. Toilailee sitting on a pile of resource still, but oof, that was rough. Tex, it's kind of fun. I would be frustrated. I would be very frustrated at this point in the game. I would feel like I'm winning, but the map is not in my control. I'm starting to bleed more heavily now. Just lost another expensive squad. Now there's 2 Wraithguard squads on the field that are going to be very difficult to deal with. But at the same time, I feel like if Toilailee had made maybe a couple different unit choices, he might be in a better position right now. But here comes probably a second Lehman Russ tank now on the field. And that will almost certainly, I think, even things out a bit here. Both Guardman squads still on the field, level 3 now. And these Lehman Russ tanks just plowing around, doing all the damage they can. Banshees and Altarch still running around together on the top side of the map. That force on its own has just been kind of running the field for the majority of the mid-game here. Second Lehman Russ getting upgraded with the Executioner Cannon, which is going to give it some really significant splash anti-infantry damage. Guardian Weapons team now coming onto the field. Tex realizing that with the loss of his right lance, he's going to need at least one more anti-vehicle solution to help deal with this Lehman Russ threat. With both of them on the field, those two Wraithguard probably not going to be enough on their own. And you can see the Bright Lance is coming down on that Guardian Weapons team right now. Tex once again coming out of the Warp Gate right here, using that anti-grav grenade to try to catch the Lord General out of position. Of course, the Catachins were there with an explosive shot to keep those Banshees at bay for the time being. Warp Spider, not sure what he was going for right there. Retreating through 2 tanks right now. Looks like he's actually going to get out of there. Luckily, that Executioner Cannon had to slowly turn around before it opened fire and then misses its whole volley right there, allowing the Warp Spider to get away with a mere 67 hit points. But man, at the exordium of the game, I would have undoubtedly called this for Toilailee, considering that double Sentinel push, him shattering Tex's natural farm at least a couple times there. Oh my gosh, that Lehman Russ getting shredded by those Wraithguard. But now at this stage of the game, Tex is managing to hold his own, has brought his army up to size right here. These Dark Reapers, unfortunately, oh, huge hit from the Wraithguards. As I was saying, Dark Reapers not really contributing too much. I still think that was kind of a reflexive prediction of Ogrins. It didn't quite work out for Tex, but those Dark Reapers are still another squad on the field to help deal with everything. Catachin's now getting engaged by the Altark and the Banshees. Tex jumps out with the Warp Spider. Probably going to drop another anti-grav grenade. It looks like it's going down. Oh, he expected the Catachins to retreat, but they stayed in the game. They need to get out of there, though. They're not going to win that melee, and the Lemon Russ aren't dealing the DPS quick enough. Loud enough. That was not the word I meant. Another Warp Gate goes down. Tex putting up another one. Catachin's in dire straits. Warp Spider moving in, and he does take out the last 3 models. The 2 of the Catachin models are leaders, so they don't go down until those last few HP drop. Toilailee now down to 2 Lemon Russ and 2 Guardsmen infantry squads. Dropping a derisive little seriously Eldar there, and oh my gosh, Wraithguard come out behind that Lemon Russ tank, almost take it out in a single volley. Really, Tex just playing all the games right now, doing everything in his power to put the pressure on Toilailee. 171 to 169 at 2-0 cap, and Tex has evened it back out. Toilailee looks like he's suddenly struggling to maintain any sort of map presence. These Wraithguard popping in and out of gates, Banshees and Altark just seemingly omnipresent on the map. Another webway going up top. Tex has been using so many webways, and look, still at 400 red right now. Psychic Might is, I believe, the global resource for Eldar. Brightland's kind of defending this natural VP of Tex right here, along with the Howling Banshees. Toilailee not hesitating to bring those Catachins back out. He knows he needs to keep eliminating these Warp Gates. And man, Warp Gate play, so excellent. I love seeing the Warp Gates used well. And I hate playing against it. If I was Toilailee, I probably would have thrown my hands up in the air right now at this point. But at the same time, you get this kind of, you initiate this survival mode. Like I refuse to lose to this kind of cheese. This kind of Eldar map control play. It always just feels so cheesy. It really isn't, but it just feels frustrating to play against. You're not even losing the engagements. You're just losing the map everywhere, no matter what you do. And really what you need to do is try to figure out the best way to lock down the various parts of the map. Make sure you keep these webways down. And just kind of practice that good, you know, that efficiency, that planning to be wherever the squads aren't. But of course that's so very difficult when you're dealing with Eldar. I'm not sure what happened right there. It looks like those Dark Reapers tried to retreat and then failed. But anyways, they went down. They weren't really doing much for Tex anyways. Probably, honestly, all things considered, a reasonable another webway going down on ToilaiLee's natural VP. Oh my goodness. Wraithguard jumped back out of that point. That webway gate. And this was initially why I think Relic hesitated to have Wraithguards able to use webways and transports, because man, they've really been showing the hurt right here. Taking out not quite a Guardsman infantry squad. All that's left is a Commissar, and now obliterating a second Lemon Russ tank. I think ToilaiLee's just throwing in the towel right here, trying to ram the Wraithguard with his Lemon Russ tank. It looks like one of those Wraithguard squads will go down here shortly. The plasma rifles should be able to finish that off without much issue. Down he goes, but at the cost of 2 Lemon Russ tanks, that's not quite going to even it out. 16 to 169, and I think this game, I'm sorry I'm laughing, is going to go to Tex. These webways, man. Oh my gosh, that was. I'd be so mad. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be extremely frustrated. And ToilaiLee obviously taking it in good spirits. I think he's actually the one that posted this replay. Banshee jumping up in the air right there, screaming for victory. Wow. So Eldar players, hey, webway gates, use them. Look, webway, 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 and webaway. Text showing that Banshees do not fear the double Sentinel opening, at least so long as they can make it into TF2 on outer reaches. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. This is Red-Rupee. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I always appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time.